Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Come on in the room. My entire Facebook page is in Spanish. I don't know how I got that way. Um, so I am trying to change the directions. What they want me to do really doesn't work because I really don't read Spanish. And so, yeah, anywho, this is funny to me. Funny to me. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Tap right. Okay. Yes. Anyway, I'll deal with this when we finish. I mean, the entire thing is in Spanish. um, yeah, I'll figure that out. I'll figure that out. This happened once before, like not of my own doing, but anyway, here we are. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to each of you. Good morning, good morning, good morning to our Village Keepers on YouTube and here on Facebook. Good morning, Glency. Good morning, Tracy, Lynn. Good morning, Margaretta. Good morning, Mia and Sherry, Jamie and Natasha and Jeffrey and Yolanda and Roslyn. Good morning, Don. Good morning, Paris. Good morning. Good morning, Jeffrey and Belle. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to each of you. Good morning. Good morning. I appreciate you being present this Sunday. Good morning, Byron. After a day with family, after after a day with either a chosen family and or birth family, or after a day to yourself. How about that? A weekend of just being present, releasing the grind. Shout out to our very own Nat Bishop, Trisha Hersey, and the work that she has done to help relieve and to enlighten each of us, to be cognizant of the ways that grinding is not profitable. It may appear profitable, but overall, how it is not profitable, and it does not provide. It does not result in aliveness, if you will. So, for each of you, I am giving thanks. Giving thanks. Miranda, Chelsea, Barbara, good morning, good morning. Come on into the room. Come on into the room. Come on into the room. You ever dream, like in your dream life, your dream just has such a vivid yet like, I don't want to call it intergalactic. I felt like I was on a plane, in another plane, really early this morning. And, you wake up and initially you don't remember, and then you start remembering. And just astrally, I just was somewhere else. So I am also getting myself, hey, Dr. Carolyn Jordan, you have made it live. It is good to see you. Yes, there is a way for you to listen to the recording after it is recorded. Because you are a Village Keeper and a subscriber to The Clearing, you should be receiving the emails. If you don't, just inbox me and let me know. So you should be getting the emails. Also, you can just go over to the YouTube page. If you're wanting to listen to PRC, if you're talking about the Clearing recordings, you get those via email. And if I think I'm on top of that task. If I'm not, please just let me know. So, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Monique Crane Spells. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Come on in. Hello. Hello, Kwabla. Mawalulo. Good morning, RG. Good morning. Come on in the space, y'all. Come on in the space. Come on in the space. Come on in the space. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, Miranda, that's we'll talk more about it in the clearing, but yeah, I'll talk more in the clearing about what I saw and what I experienced and was like, wait, what? Good morning. Just giving folks time to come in. And I always appreciate y'all. Hey, Akila. Hey, Carla. I always appreciate y'all. It's really around 8-ish now. So if you don't initially see me about, by 8:15, just then you could text me. But other than that, just know I'm on my way. I'm coming. Good morning, Dr. Tony. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How do we move on? How do we move on? Is a question that I am considering, and I want to begin this meditation. I wanted to be upstairs with you all today. I wanted to take it back to the kitchen. I have really been, this is not about what we're getting ready to reflect on, but you know how spirit moves. I wanted to be with you all up there today, and I made videos, some of it, and just share it in the clearing. But today, I'm gonna make some chicken and dumplings, scratch. I've been really working with my hands, and in this preparing to write, first I thought it was avoiding, like I'm just avoiding writing, and maybe I'll just talk it through and just transcribe, but really it's this moving the energy around in my body and the senses and working with my hands and engaging. Oh my God, Byron, thank you for being here and engaging, yes, in communication with ancestors and practices and creating and or creativity. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you. I will check into that. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you. Carolyn Jordan, read Miranda Furman's response to whether you're getting them. Thank you for that. And I just yesterday, shout out to Candace Bimbo and Shayla Herndon Edmonds had me baking. I saw their pictures and I'd wanted to bake this cake, but I just ran out of time on Thursday. And so yesterday I baked a peach cobbler pound cake from the recipe that Candace gave to me. And then today I'm gonna make this chicken and dumplings to round out this sort of time of really feasting with my ancestors and engaging in practices of cooking good food. And so I forgot now why I started that. I forgot why I started down there. But I wanted to be upstairs with you all as to pay homage to one of our very first chronicles of me sort of rolling out the dumplings and sort of this being rolled over, rolled through, pressed down, if you will, that also and how substances begin as one thing but mixed with other things become something different. I don't know where and how it will come out, but that's where we were. That's where I wanted to be. However, shout out to a group of Black women that I sat with and Black girls. It's important for us, y'all, to when we are in when we are in culturally communicative spaces, that is where when Black women are engaging in the conversations around this sacred space, when Black folk, I'm just speaking on Black women because that was the experience yesterday, that some of us have grown up specifically with the directive, stay out of grown folks' business. And sometimes that is mostly right. let me back up. Sometimes it's necessary because there are things that need to be addressed and talked about that children do not need to take into their system to be concerned about. They should be able to be children and continue to engage. In other ways, though, when they do not get to see the back, the forth, the passion, the banter that happens in these communicative moments, I believe that they forego or do not are not able until later in life to nuance what happens in our communicative styles, and that they have no mirror, no imagery, no container for which to see tables that are pulpits, and the ways in which our communication, or the lineage of our communication is what I'm trying to say. So on yesterday, I was in a space with Black women and my own daughter, Ashe, whom probably, at a particular age, I would have, invited her to go into another space, because we got to talking about personal things that I had not necessarily shared with her. But at 14, for me, she has reached an age that is a rite of passage. She has reached an age where she's asking questions. She has reached an age, good morning, all of you that are coming on now. She has reached an age where on last evening, I discerned that she just needed to be in the room. Now, clearly, at what level of part of the conversation, while she wasn't sitting at the table, she was in the space, Ashe. She wasn't at the table, but she was in the space. I wanted her to see that. I wanted her to hear Black women. I wanted her to see our highs and lows in our conversations, to feel our passion. I wanted her to be able to, for our emotion to be palpable to her, for our frustration. I just wanted her to, it was in me. I didn't want to dismiss her, dismiss her Black girlhood, because as I've heard Dr. Daniel Black say often, it behooves us to know that Black girls will become Black women, Ashe. And so I wanted her to be present. And so on yesterday, as I'm getting to our text, I sat after last week's conversation about evolution and evolving, and how crisis is not really a crisis more than it is growth. I sat again this week, like, where we going with this? I'm in a space, and it requires a different, I'm just in a space. And so all day I'd been waiting, for all week, really been waiting for, what's the reflection? What is the reflection? What's the reflection? And I sat there and I entered a conversation. I'm gotta set the text up. I entered a conversation with some folk, and it took me to a place that I hadn't planned on or had absolutely released. I don't know if this has ever been you, where you have released something that you've been holding, something that has harmed you emotionally, maybe physically, but something even psychically, some event, some trauma. You have released it. You've done the rituals. You've done the, you've talked about it your last time, and you're not going there again. And yet I found myself engaged in this conversation that I hadn't planned on going as deep as it went. But surroundings are important. Place is important, because what a comfortable and brave space does is make you safe enough to go where you hadn't planned on going. Come on in the space today. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. And so, hey, Jamie. And so, shout out to the sisters, of which Jamie was one. Shout out to the sisters who did what you often hear me say, the teaching that I get from Mama Itihari, who were a community that was strong enough to hold the truth that I believed I'd already told. In the retelling of this truth that I believed I'd already told, hey, Carm, in the retelling of this truth that I believed I'd already told, My new acquaintance, friend, colleague, Jamie, I'm gonna shout you out, said this sounds very much like Psalm 55. And I said, I remember just a tiny lament when I used to know these Bible texts like this. I remember when I used to keep it just so close, locked in my heart, that I could just reach toward. Now, there are still some, but like certain Psalms. And so I said, I don't think I'm familiar with Psalm 55. Will you read it to me? Get it. Let me know what it is. And here's the other thing. Even as one who preaches, even as a faith leader, I am never shamed, ever, not ever. That's one thing you can't shame me about if I know a text or I don't. Honey, I sit so well, so comfortable in what I know and what I don't know, and I am never ashamed. So I said, I'm not familiar, at least I don't think I am. Well, you read it. And so this profound, brilliant, amazing sister grabs it, and this is what it reads. Psalm 55. I'm just going to read verses 12 through 17 through 18. Verses 12 through 18. Psalm 55, verse 12 through 18. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. I can't even get past the first verse, y'all. I'm gonna have to breathe through this. Woo! Jamie! If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were rising against me, I could hide. But it is you. This is the text. A man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship at the house of God, as we walked about among the worshipers. Excuse me. Let death take my enemies by surprise. Let them go down alive to the realm of the dead, for evil finds lodging among them. As for me, I call to God, and the Lord saves me. Evening, morning, and noon, I cry out in distress, and the Lord hears my voice and rescues me unharmed from the battle waged against me, even though many oppose me. It just bears reading again. It bears reading again. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were rising against me, I could hide. But it is you, one like myself, my companion, a close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship at the house of God. As we walked amongst the worshipers, let the death take my enemies by surprise, and let them go down alive to the realm of the dead, for evil finds lodging among them. As for me, I call to God, and the Lord saves me. Evening, morning, and noon, I cry out in distress, and the Lord hears my voice. The Lord rescues me unharmed from the battle waged against me, even though many oppose me. I want to come back to maybe I said, I think I titled this, how do we move on from here? And I know that where I was going was, or Spirit was leading me is, how do we move from the space of betrayal? How do we move from the space of betrayal? But I think I want to shift because y'all are preaching this with me, and many of you, like me, are stuck on it is you. Oh my God. We could accept. There are things that we could accept in particular spaces. There are moments that we could take and just chop it up as part of the game. There is a way in which our expectations in the world are because of our social location mixed with our lived experiences. Some of us, me included, are jaded. By jaded, I mean we're indifferent. We're just kind of like, nah. We are at the space where yes, let's work it, Carla. Let's all work this and preach this together. We are at the space where we're like, like this. I don't expect anything more. I expect you to do what you did. I expect the system to be what the system is. I expect the system to system. I don't put more in you than I should. I don't see beyond what has been presented to me. My history, our history tells us X, Y, and Z. So when it happens, while many of us, when it happens, there is a way in there is a way in which, and when I say it, I'm saying this kind of woundedness, this kind of betrayal. When it happens, there is has been an expectation of it happening, and we are a little anesthetized. We're just a little anesthetized, meaning that we cannot, we don't really feel. We're just kind of sort of numb to it. But this particular text, this text about David and feeling betrayed in this psalm of the Psalter, it is saying that I could have handled this betrayal. I could have, just sort of chopped this up. I could have let this ride. I could have been like, child, please. I could have been like, folks gonna do what the folks gonna do. I could have done all of this, but it was you. I could have let it go. I could have moved on. But it was you. Listen. I would have been upset a little bit, but I would have got over it. But it was you. It was you. This psalm is speaking to the pain and the betrayal of a close friendship gone wrong. It is a poignant reminder that even those closest to us can let us down and cause us hurt. In this psalm, David expresses his anguish at being betrayed by a close confidant, someone with whom he had worshiped God. In this moment that I was in yesterday, in this space where the sistren, including my daughter, where the sistren held my truth, where they held my woundedness. That's the thing about wounds. Wounds can appear to be healed. Wounds, the scab is no longer present. And even if you put some vitamin E oil on it, even the wound itself will blend in with the skin. But the thing about, and I'm not a medical doctor, of course, but the thing about a wound is that you can't see under the skin. Let me use this as an example. I have bore children, and each time I bore children, I had to have major surgery. I had to have a cesarean section where they cut just below, right underneath the stomach, to cut into your skin, into the uterus, into the womb, to be able to pull the child out. So it is opposite of a vaginal birth, where the child does not come through the birth canal that way, but because of other issues, if you are high risk and some other medical issues, we're not even talking about the ways in which that procedure is performed unnecessarily. That's an entirely different conversation. And so this is major medical surgery. And so the baby gets pulled out of your body instead of you pushing the baby. And this creates a wound, a scar that eventually heals. But what we are unable to see is if you are able to bear and to give birth again, and you have to have another C-section. I remember the doctor saying there's a lot of scar tissue. Come on in here. When I was experiencing my second C-section, and although I had received an epidural to numb me from feeling the pain, if any of you have ever experienced a cesarean section, this one I could feel while I wasn't in pain. I could feel my body moving. I'm looking at it. It's like they were tugging, like like it was hard, as if they were like cutting an incision, a piece of tough meat. And I remember a tear coming down my eye because I was concerned, like, this is not how the first one went. The first one seemed like the incision was made and free just popped on out. The second one, Phoenix, this rebirth from the ashes, if you will, was taking some time. And I heard the doctor say, you've got a lot of scar tissue. And I said, scar tissue? What do you mean? She said, the tissue from the first C-section has not fully healed. And it is thick. It is scar tissue that is grouped and stuck together, and it makes it hard to get down to where we need to get to pull the baby out. On the outside, this particular wound looked healed. On the outside, you could barely run your hand across that area on my body and feel just a slight groove above the skin on the outside. But when she began to cut in, it was what I couldn't see. It was the internal part of the wound that was making it difficult. Y'all don't hear me today. That was making it difficult to get to the very thing that we needed, which was the life that I was giving birth to. And here's the thing. It was a matter of life and death. It was an emergency C-section because the heart rate of the baby was dropping. We needed to get to it with the quickness. But unfortunately, this scar tissue, the wound that we couldn't see, was making it difficult to get to the very thing. And friends, I am simply raising this imagery to say that even though on yesterday I believed that I had fully released, I believed that I had fully come beyond, I believe that there were circles that were strong enough to hold my truth, and they held it. I believed that this was done. I believed that I would not waste my breath talking about this anymore. I handed it over to God. I gave it to my ancestors to handle. I released it from my presence, I believed, and my body. I said it wasn't worth my energy. It wasn't worth my time. But I don't know if you're able to get that. Just because we say a thing, even though we've been socialized to believe in this kind of instant deliverance, this kind of instant blessing. Come on, y'all know what it is. This kind of instant moment, that we don't believe that things are a process. So on yesterday, when this started to come up, I realized that, oh, damn. Lord, there is still some residue. There is still some residue. It's still, listen, there's some scar tissue. There is some scar tissue. I wish that I could see you right now. I wish that we were already in the clearing so that I could see you come off the mute and put your face on the screen so that you can let me know if you have any experience with scar tissue. If you have any experience, Monique, with some scar tissue, there's still scar tissue. And the Spirit began to deal with me through the listening. I listened through the listening. The Spirit began to deal with me through the listening bodies. Not that they were speaking, because I was the one who was doing the talking. It was through their bodies that they began to speak to me. And I landed on, but it was you. In this Psalm 55, in this particular psalm, betrayal is a sin. Betrayal is a sin that harms both the betrayer and the betrayed. It breaks trust and damages relationships, causing pain and heartache. As I began to think about the issue, I was able to give myself permission. Come on, Spirit. I was able to give myself permission to acknowledge two things. One, my frustration, and two, the root of my frustration. And the root of my frustration is because I mean when I say. When I say that I love the folk, that's what I mean. I don't say it if I don't mean it. When I say, if I ever have said to you, I'm 10 toes down. Now, not everyone has heard me say it, so not everyone should believe that's where I ride with you at. But for those of you who heard me say it, for those of you who have felt the display, meaning not the display, you have felt the sentiment, meaning if I have showed up for you, whether in the spirit or in the natural, meaning if you've called me or if you texted me and I've responded, if I've made a connection at the heart, and shout out again, it is what I learned from the Black women around the tables in the communities that I grew up in. Listen, they could fuss at you, they could talk about you, but baby, when the rubber meets the road, when you knocked on the door and said, listen, the baby got a field trip, and can you let me hold $20? Do you have an few extra rolls of toilet paper till I get paid? Can you ride me? I'm talking about ways of acknowledging community. I'm talking about ways that we are there for folk. When I say that I love the folk, when I say that I'm for the folk, it is not just talk for me. It is not just the abstract thought. When I'm talking about balance, I am constantly thinking about the ways that I show up. And if and when I feel like I'm too much in one bag, meaning if and when I feel like that I am too far over here and that the people are wondering or questioning and can't find me, can't get with me, then I know that I have to come back to balance, because ultimately my call is to the people. You don't hear me today. And so I am often, or I am utterly disappointed when then my espoused ethic that matches my lived experience is taken and or betrayed. It creates for me a wound that is so deep and so vast because I actually believe that other people operate in the world as I do. I don't know if that's your issue. I don't know. I don't know if that's your issue. And it has been painful. It has been painful to recognize that even those closest to you, come on somebody, that even though, see what we talked about yesterday unlocked some other stuff for me. The ways that I have been so wounded and hurt because those that I have counted closest to me, I could have accepted it if it was somebody else, but it was you. It was you who been walking alongside me. It was you who sat at my table. It was you who watched me birth my kids. It was you who told me when we shared our intimate thoughts. It was you. It was you. And when we begin to peel back the layers, the layers of the wound as a result of a betrayal of intimacy, when we don't, peel back those layers, and then we stay at a particular position, even when we thought, even when we thought we were healed. I worshiped alongside you. Come on, y'all. Come on. I told you things that nobody else knows. Y'all don't hear me. I was a friend to you when nobody else. Come on. Woo! Betrayal then is a sin. Oh, I know that we've been socialized to see sin as only having to do with what we do with our bodies and with whom we do it. But it is in this text sinful to renege. Come on, y'all. Come on, Tiffany Brooks. Come on. I intercede. Ooh, Tiffany Brooks, my God. I interceded. Come on and type, y'all. Come on and let's get healed from it, y'all. Tiffany Brooks, type, y'all. I interceded for and with you. Come on, type what you did. Let's just, I interceded for and was with you. Yeah. For those of you who are cards players, if you are bid whist or spade players, then you understand the act of reneging. No one needs and should ever want to be a renegger. To renege, for those of you, to forfeit, for those of you who don't understand the terminology, I will use spades because I don't play bid whist. But you renege when you don't follow the suit that has been played down. Meaning, for instance, if a heart has been put down, and whether you're playing with 2 or 4, if a heart, the suit card, if a heart has been laid down and you have hearts or a heart in your hand, but instead you cut and play with a spade, and then the next cycle you put a heart down, if the team you're playing against is paying attention, they will identify that you've reneged. And in that reneging, meaning that you have betrayed the game, because you actually had in your hand what you needed to follow suit. You reneged because you played out of suit, and then you came back behind it and tried to play something else. That means then you have forfeit the game. You have reneged. So when there are those closest to us who renege, or yes, Dr. Angela, who weaponize our intimacy, hey, my goodness, who weaponize intimacy, then they are reneging on the bond created. And in their reneging, it creates a deep wound for us. And because that wound then gets covered by the overgrowth of the other unhealed wounds, hence creating scar tissue, it makes it awfully hard to move on. It makes it hard to move forward in any kind of platonic, professional, intimate, or personal relationship. Why? Because folk then have to try and or attempt to cut through all of that scar tissue, because the memory of it being you of all people. So no matter how long time has passed, no matter how long time has passed, the truth of the matter is that we have to keep doing this process over and over and over again, because folk will continue to encounter the scar tissue, and we will continue to remember that it was you. That it was you. That it was you. Betrayal breaks trust. I want to talk to my sisters for a minute. I want to specifically talk to us for a minute. Britt, I want to talk to the sisters for a minute. It's applicable to all, but I want to stand in my social location right now. I want to center this. Grinding fuels betrayal. Because, per Tricia Hersey, grinding is attached to capitalism. Capitalism has no loyalty. Capitalism is only always interested in more. The grind to get more at some point, the grind to get more is always going to open the door for the possibility of betrayal. And hence, betrayal is insidious because it's not always explicit. It's not always explicit as someone speaking and or more than it is someone being silent when they should be speaking up. And so when we are in rooms where we are the only one, I'm just reading you all's, my God, Jesus. Ooh. Yee. When we are in rooms where we are the only, and we either remain silent or we speak out on one of us with the idea that it's about me and mine. We are, yes, Monique, you said it before I could come to it. Yes, we choose whiteness over wellness. Come on through here. Come on through here. Yeah, we do. And without recognizing how we are wounding ourselves. And so we give the appearance of intimacy. We give the appearance of camaraderie. We give the appearance of womanist. We give the appearance, all while serving another God. Yeah. But this text tells us that God can use even the most difficult situations to bring about God's purposes. Hear what I said. I didn't say God sends us these situations. I didn't say God causes these situations. I didn't say God is the initiator of these situations. I said that God can use even the most difficult situations to bring about. Go back to the text. The text here says, let death take my enemies by surprise. So when I say, I don't deal with fragility and fragility as a forgiveness fragility. I'm not fragile when it comes to that. And I don't rush to it. I don't rush to forgiveness. That's not my first go-to. No, I'm going to wrestle with this. And for some, I don't think it's for me to forgive you. I'm not, and even what I'm holding in my body, I'm not always, I know, because this is, popular to say, it's for me, it's not for them. I needed to get that out my body. And I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold on it because I'm where the psalmist is. And 15, let death, honey, take my enemies by surprise and let you go down alive in the realm of the dead, for evil finds lodging among you. Hello, that's Bible. Yeah, I'm no, because this was the act you performed on me. But here's where we need to get to, because 16 said, but as for me, here's our good news. I'm a call to God. And evening, morning, and noon. I'm going to cry out in distress, but God is going to hear my voice. Because God is going to rescue me unharmed from the battle waged against me. Now, unharmed is relative. That has degrees to it. The operative term in how do we move on? We move on with the assurance and knowing that God is going to rescue us. What your grandmama used to say, what don't come out in the wash, gonna come out in the rinse. You don't have to plot and plan not one thing. You don't have to create a campaign to let the world know how this person did you, how the system. You don't have to say a mumbling word. You don't have to do a thing. All you got to do is remain uncompromised, uncompromised in your stance, meaning just because this was done, that you should still remain the same person that you were, even though it requires a healing, even though this scar tissue got to heal. You should not become who or what was done to you. The rescue is in the remaining intact. The rescue is that your character has not been challenged. And everything else will take care of itself. I want to close like this. Yeah, I'm sure, Antonia, because the text just said, listen, let death take my enemies by surprise and let them go down alive to the realm of the dead, for evil finds lodging amongst them. Friend, I don't need to go down to hell. They're going to feel what they feel. And that's where my energy does not need to be attached. I don't need to be attached with that. But here's what was shared with me yesterday, and this is how I want to close. And for those who are coming over to the clearing with us, for those who are want to become subscribers of our community, here is the link. I have just posted it there on Facebook. I will also post it here in the chat on YouTube. If you want to join us, it's a monthly subscription. We go over to a private Zoom right after this and actually talk back to the text and engage further. We have a private Facebook group that we have created community in. And, you know, just let me know. I will, before I open up the Zoom, I will check back to see if folks have joined so that I can get you the link. Or you can inbox me and just let me know that you've joined, and I will send you the link so that you could come right on over. Here's how I want to close. A sister said to me, because I said something similar, Antonia, I said, you know, this doesn't help me with what I feel. And the sister said this, Melva, that person does not have the capacity to perform the way that you wanted them to perform. I didn't want to hear it. I did not want to hear it. Melva, you had an expectation that the person would show up in a particular way, but the person does not have the capacity. That's not what they do. That's not, the person really doesn't even recognize. The person outwardly looks a particular way. The person espouses a particular ethic, but that's not what is internal. That is not what the person performs. And what your real issue is because you were performing out of a place of authenticity. Your performance was real. You meant it. You said it. You engaged. You were present. You were 10 toes down for it. This person does not have the capacity to rest in authenticity. Not only does this person not have the capacity to rest in authenticity, this person is too connected to whiteness. And as long as this person is connected to whiteness, then this person will never really see the harm that they've caused. And if you, they weren't asking me to forgive, and if you continue to hold them at the level of where you operate, you will continue to be disappointed. Because folk don't operate like you operate. Come on in here. Yeah. But it's not going to stop you, me. Come on, Mona. She looked the part. It's not going to stop me from, that's the how we move on. The how we move on is that while I'm a little bit wiser, I take a little bit more caution. I do a little bit more background work. I ask a little bit more questions. It doesn't stop me from still being me. It doesn't stop me from still showing up. It doesn't doesn't stop me from still loving the folk, from loving dance, from loving the moon. It doesn't stop me from even loving myself regardless. It doesn't stop me. It doesn't stop me. And it shouldn't stop you. That's it. And it shouldn't stop you. Our hope and our healing, our hope and our healing is in the rescue. And while this text says he rescues me unharmed, I'd probably challenge that. I'd probably shift that text to say, I am rescued more aware. But this part right here, from the battle, I am more aware of the battle that was waged against me. Listen, 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 because awareness, nobody can take that from you. This is a part 2 to this, but I don't have time. I'm going to stop right there. But that's how we move on. It doesn't erase it. It doesn't turn a blind eye, but you don't turn a blind eye to it. You see it for what it is, and you see them for who they are and who they can't be and who they could never be. You release them from being captive. You let them get off that cross. I don't call that forgiveness. It's just release and forgiveness are not the same things to me. But I release you. But guess what? You're gonna have to possibly keep coming back to that process of release. And thank God for Black women who sit around tables, who listen to your truth, who help you process, who help you get to the root of what a real issue is, and who tarry with you as you cut through the scar tissue to get to what is most important, the life that you bear. And that is how we move on. Peace, y'all. Until we see each other again, I'm headed over to the clearing.